Alright, the 118th Congress, Second Edition, Silent Document 1181, Senate Manual containing standing rules, orders, laws, resolutions affecting the business of the United States Senate, Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, Ordinance 1787, and the Constitution of the United States, Articles of Federation, Ordinance 1787, Constitution of the United States. U.S. Government Publishing Office, Washington, 2024. Alright, we'll read the rules and practices from 1 to 278. First, standing rules of Senate, selecting standing orders not embraced by rules affecting business of the Senate, United States Chamber and Gallery regulations, rules of impeachment trials, Cleve manuals of the laws and practice in regard to conference reports, selecting legislative procedures enable the law applying to the United States Senate. Rules, laws, and procedures. Standing rules of the Senate: appointment, Senate chair, presentation, credential, questioning, privilege, oath, commencement of the daily session, suspension, abandonment, and amendment of rules, quorum, absent senators may be sent, morning business order, business message, special orders, papers, withdrawal, printing, reading, and reference, voting procedure, reconsideration, bill, joint resolution, preambles, amendments, motions, appropriation amendments, general appropriation bills, reference committees, motions, discharge report committees, hearings available, business continued session from session to session, debate, question of order, session of closed doors, precedence of motion, privilege of floor, abandonment of committee, appointment of committee, standing committee, agricultural, nutrition, forestry operations, armed services, bank, housing, urban, commercial, budget, commercial, science and transportation, energy, natural resource, environment, public record, works, financing, foreign relations, government affairs, higher education, labor, pension, judiciary, rules, administrators, small business, entrepreneurs, veterans affairs committee memberships, committee procedures, Alright, we can read the rest of this. Committee procedures, committee staff, conference committee reports, opening meetings, executive sessions proceeding treaties, executive sessions proceeding on nominations, presidents furnished with copies of records, execute executive sessions, Senate chamber, Senate wing of capital, public financial disclosure, gifts, outside earned income, conflict of interest, prohibition, unofficial office accounts, foreign travel, franking, privilege in radio, television, studios, political fund activity, definitions, employment practice, representation by members, and congressional directed spending and related items. Standing rules of the Senate. In 1979, the general revisions of the rules accomplished with the adopted with the Senate Resolution 274 on November 14, 1979, resolution submitted by Mr. Robert C. Byrd himself and Mr. Baker. Preparation proposed revision pursuant and adoption of Senate Resolution 156 of May 10, 1976, resolution Mr. Robert C. Byrd, general provision rule set forth in Senate Rule 274, somewhat altered form of adoption, Senate Resolution 389 of March 25, 1980. Consolidate the renumbering certain standing rules of the Senate. Change the Senate rules since last general revision 1979 are indicated by footnotes. Each succeeding edition of the Senate Manual for original various change the Senate procedure between 1884 and 1979 as set with the rules for change, adoption, resolution, legislative reorganization act. See table on page 16, Rhetoric, Senate Procedures, 1992. Rule 1. Appointment of a senator to chair. In absence of vice president of the Senate shall choose a president pro tempore who hold the office of the executive the duties during the pleasure of the Senate, until another elected or his term office of the Senate expires. In the absence of the vice president pending of the election, president pro tempore or a acting president pro tempore or secretary of the Senate, or in his absence the assistant secretary shall perform the duties of the chair. The president of the pro tempore shall have the right to name in open Senate, or if absent in writing, senator to perform duty of the chair, including the signing of the duly enrolled bills, joint resolution, but substitution should not extend beyond the adjournment except by anonymous consent, and the senator so named shall have the right to open session, or if absent in writing, the senator to perform duties of the chair, but not to extend beyond the adjournment except with the anonymous consent. Rule 2. Presentation and credential questions of privilege. Presentation credentials, senators elected or senators designee. Other question privilege shall always be in order to accept during the reading and correction of the journal while the question of an order or a motion to adjourn pending, or while the senator is voting or asserting the presence of a quorum, and all the questions and motions arising made upon presentation of such credentials shall proceed and wait until disposed of. Secretary shall keep records of certificate election, certificates appointments of the senators by entering the well-bound book kept for the purpose of the day of the election, appointment the name of the person elected and appointed the date of certificate, the name of the governor, the secretary of the state signing and the countersigning the same in the state for which the senator was elected and appointed. Secretary of State shall send copies following recommended forms to the governor and secretary of the states of each state wherein an election is about to take place of an appointment is to be made, so that they may use such forms if they see fit. The recommended forms and certificates, election certificates, and appointments as follows: certificate election is for a 6-year term to the President and Senate of the United States with a certified on the day on blank day on blank of 2000 blank A and B, usually chosen qualified electors state blank senator from said state to represent state in Senate of the United States for the term of 6 years beginning third day of January blank, January 20th blank. Witnesses His Excellence or Governor and or seal here to be affixed at blank and this day blank of blank in the year of Lord blank 20 blank by the Governor, C&D, ENF, and Secretary of State. Certificate election for unexpired term. The President and Senate of the United States with a certified with a blank day and with a blank of and 20 in the 20th century A and B, duly chosen qualified elector state blank senator for unexpired term ending noon at third day of the January blank to refill the vacancy representation said state with the Senate of the United States causing blank of C and D. Of the governor, witness His Excellence of the governor blank and or here is affixed to at this and blank day of blank in the year of Lord 20 blank by Governor ENF, Governor G&H, Secretary of State. Certificate of appointment of the President of the Senate of the United States, certificate of the pursuant of power vested in me, Constitution of the United States, law of Senate, law of the state of blank and A and B of the governor state hereby appoint C and D senator for the state of the representative of the state senate of the United States of the vacancy therein caused by ENF is filled with the election provided by the law. Witnesses excellence of the governor blank or seal here to affix to blank of this day blank of the year of the Lord blank by the governor and secretary of state. Rule 3. Oaths. The oath of affirmation required by the Constitution prescribed laws shall be taken and subscribed by each state senator in open Senate before entering upon his duties. Oath required by the constitutional law to be taken by the senators. If A and B do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against enemies and foreign, domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same, that I take the obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 3331. Rule 4. Commencement of the daily session. The President officer have taken chair of the following of the prayer by the chaplain after the presiding officer, senator designated of the presiding officer leads the Senate from the dais of the reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. A quorum being present, journal of the preceding day shall be read unless a non-debatable motion the reading shall be waived. The question being, shall the journal stand approved today? To date, any mistake made in the entries corrected, except as provided in subparagraph B. The reading of the journal shall now be suspended unless by an anonymous consent, when any motion shall be made to amend the correct same or to correct the same, it shall be deemed a privileged question and proceed with until disposed of. Whenever the Senate is proceeding under paragraph 2 of the Rule 22, the reading of the journal shall be dispensed with and shall consider approved date to the date. The proceeding of the Senate shall briefly, accurately stated on the journal message of the President in full titles of the bill and resolutions such as parts as affected by proposed amendments and every vote and brief statement of the contents of each petition, memorial, or paper presented to the Senate shall be entered. Legislative execute the confidential legislation procedures. The proceedings when sitting as a court impeachment shall each record in a separate book. During a session of the Senate, when the body is in continuous session, a presiding officer shall temporarily suspend the business of the Senate at noon each day for a purpose of having customary daily prayer by the chaplain. Rule 5. Suspension and amendment of the rules. No motion, suspend, modify, amend any of the rule, any part shall be in order except on 1 day's notice, writing specifying the precisely rule in part and proposed, suspended, modified, or amended purpose thereof. Any rule may be suspended without notice by unanimous consent of the Senate except otherwise provided by the rules. The rules of the Senate shall continue from one Congress to the next Congress unless they are changed by provided in these rules. Rule 6. Quorum. Absent senators may be sent for. A quorum shall consist of a majority of senators duly chosen and sworn. No senator shall be absent himself from the service of the Senate without leave. If any time during the daily session of the Senate a question shall be raised by a senator as to the presence of the quorum, the presiding officer shall forthwith direct the secretary to call the roll and shall announce the result of the proceeding shall be without debate. Whenever upon such roll call shall be ascertained if the quorum is not present, a majority of the senators present may direct the sergeant at arms to request, and when necessary to comply, the attendance of the absent senators, which order shall be determined without debate and pending its execution until quorum shall be present. No debate nor motion except to adjourn or to recess pursuant to previous order entered by unanimous consent shall be in order. Rule 7. Morning business. On each legislative day after the journal is read, presiding officer of the demand of any senator shall lay before the Senate message before the President report the communications from the head of the departments, other communication addressed to the Senate, such bills, joint resolution, other messages from the House of the Representatives may remain upon this table from any previous day's session undisposed of. The presiding officer of the demand of any senator shall then call for it in following order: presentation of petition memorials, reports on the committees, the introduction of bills and joint resolution, the submission of other resolutions, all of which shall be received and disposed in such an order unless a unanimous consent shall be otherwise given with newly offered solutions being called for before resolutions come over the previous legislative day are laid before the Senate. Till the morning business shall have concluded, so announced by the chair, until 1 hour after the Senate convenes. At the beginning of the new legislative day, no motion to proceed considering of any bill, resolution, report of a committee or other subject upon the calendar should be entertained by the presiding officer unless an anonymous consent provided. However, that on Mondays which are beginning on the legislative day of the calendar should be called under Rule 8 until 2 hours after the Senate convenes, for the no motion shall be entertained to proceed to the consideration of any bill, resolution, or other subject upon calendar except the motion to continue consideration of a bill, resolution, or other subject to add against objection as provided in Rule 8 or until the call of the calendar has completed. Presiding officer may at the time lay, or it shall be in order any time senator to move lay or before the Senate any bill, other matter sent to the Senate by the President or the House of Representatives for appropriate action allowed under the rules, and any question pending at the time shall suspend for the purpose. Any motion so made shall be determined without debate. Petitions and memorials shall be referred without debate an appropriate committee according to the subject of the matter, same basis as bills, resolutions signed by the petitioner or the memorialist. A question receiving a reference may be raised and determined without debate, but no petition or memorial or other paper signed with a citizen subject to foreign power shall be received unless the same be transmitted to the Senate by the President. Only a brief statement of content petitions memorials shall be printed with the congressional record. No other portion of the petition or memorial shall be printed in the record unless specifically so ordered by the vote of the Senate, as provided within paragraph 4 of Rule 11, in which case the order shall be deemed to apply to the body of the petition or memorial only, and the names attached to the petition memorial shall not be printed unless specifically ordered. Shall not be printed unless unspecifically ordered. Except the petition and the memorials from the legislature and conventions lawfully called for the respective states, territory, and solely possession shall have the printed in full of the record whenever presented. Senators having the petitions, memorial, bill, resolutions to present after the morning hour may deliver them in an absence of objection to the presiding officer of desk, endorsing upon them their names, and with the approval of the presiding officer they shall be entered in the journal with the names of the senators presenting them. In the absence of the objection shall be considered as having been read twice and referred to in appropriate committees, and a transcript of such entries shall be furnished to the official reporter of the debates for publication in Congressional Record under the direction of the Secretary of the Senate. Rule 8. Order of business. At the conclusion of morning business and the beginning of the new legislative day, unless the motion of the Senator shall at any time otherwise order, the Senate shall proceed with the consideration calendar, bill, resolution shall continue such consideration until 2 hours after the Senate convenes on such a day, the end of the morning hour, and the bills on the resolution are not objected to shall be taken up in their order. Senators shall be entitled to speak once and for 5 minutes only upon any question, and objection may be interposed at any stage of the proceeding, but upon motion of the Senate may continue such consideration. This order shall commence immediately after the call for other resolutions. After disposition of the resolutions come over under the rule, and shall take precedence on unfinished business, other special orders. But if the Senate shall proceed on motion without consideration of any matter notwithstanding an objection, the foregoing provision touching the debate shall not apply. All motions made during the first 2 hours of the new legislative day to proceed with the consideration of any matter shall be determined without debate, except the motions to proceed to consider of any motion, resolution, proposal to change any standing rules of the Senate shall be debatable. Motions made after the first 2 hours of the new legislative day to proceed to the consideration of bills, resolution, and are debatable. Rule 9. Messages. Messages from the President of the United States or the House of the Representatives may receive the standing of the proceedings except while the Senate is voting, asserting the presence of the quorum, or while the journal is being read, or while question over the order or a motion to adjourn is pending. Message shall be sent with the House of the Representatives. Secretary shall previously certify the determination of the Senate upon the bills, joint resolution, other resolutions which may be communicated to the House, or at which concurrence may be requested, and the Secretary shall also certify to deliver to the President of the United States all resolutions or other communications which may be directed to him by the Senate. Rule 10. Special orders. Any subject may by a vote of 2/3 of the Senate present be made a special order business of the consideration when the time so fixed for its consideration arrives. The presiding officer shall lay it before the Senate unless the unfinished business, in which case it takes place on the calendar of special orders in order to time which is made special to be considered in the order when they were unfinished business. All motions changed of the order to proceed consideration of other business shall decide without debate. Rule 11. Papers, withdrawal, printing, reading, and reference. No memorial or other paper presented to the Senate except original treaties finally acted upon shall be withdrawn from the files except by order of the Senate. Secretary of the Senate shall obtain close of each Congress all non-concurrent records of the Senate and of each Senate committee and transfer them to the General Service Administration for preservation subject to order of Senate. When reading the paper is called for the objective, it shall be determined by a vote of the Senate without debate. Every motion and resolution and printed documents, reports, other matter transmitted to the executive departments or to print memorial petitions accompanying with the documents or any other paper except bills of the Senate, House of the Representatives, resolutions submitted with the Senate, communications from the legislative conventions lawfully called over the respective states shall, unless the Senate otherwise order be referred to the Committee and Rules of Administration. When a motion is made to commit with instructions, it shall be in order to add thereto to a motion to print. Motions and resolution to print additional numbers should also be referred to the Committee and Rules Administration. When the Committee shall report favorably, the report shall be accompanied by an estimate of the probable cost thereof. When the cost of the printing such additional numbers shall exceed the sum established by law, the concurrency of the House of Representatives shall be necessary for an order to print the same. Every bill and joint resolution introduced or reported from a committee, and all bills and joint resolutions received from the House of Representatives and all reports for the committee shall be printed unless for the dispatch of the business of the Senate, such printing may be dispensed with. Rule 12, voting procedure. When yeses and nays are ordered, names of the senators shall be called alphabetically. Each senator shall, without debate, declare his assent or dissent to the question, unless excused by the Senate, and no senator shall be permitted to vote after the decision shall have been announced by the presiding officer, but may, for sufficient reasons, with a unanimous consent, and change or withdraw his vote. No motion to suspend this rule shall be in order, nor shall the presiding officer entertain any request to suspend it by unanimous consent. When a senator declines to vote on a call of his name, he shall be required to assign them the reason thereof, and he has assigned them. The presiding officer shall submit the question to the Senate. Shall the senator, for the reasons assigned by him, be excused from voting, which shall be decided without debate, but the proceeding shall be held after the roll call before the result is announced. Any further proceedings in reference thereto shall be after such announcement. A member, notwithstanding any of the provisions of the rule, may decline the vote in any of the committee or on the floor or any matter when he believes that his voting on such a matter would be a conflict of interest. No request of the senator unanimous consent for taking a final vote specified date upon the passage of the bill or joint resolution shall be submitted to the Senate for agreement there until after a quorum call ordered for the purpose of the presiding officer. It shall be disclosed that the quorum of the Senate is present, and when the unanimous consent is thus given, the same shall operate as the order of the Senate, but anonymous consent may be revoked by another anonymous consent granted in the manner prescribed above 1 day's notice. Rule 13, reconsideration. When a question has been decided by the Senate, any senator voting prevailing side or who has not voted may, on the same day or on either of the next 2 days' actual session thereof, move a reconsideration. If the Senate refuses to reconsider such a motion entered, or if such motion is withdrawn by leave of the Senate, or if upon reconsideration the Senate shall affirm the first decision, no further motion to reconsider shall be in order unless by unanimous consent. Every motion reconsidered shall be decided by a majority vote, may be led on the table without affecting the question or reference to which the same is made, which shall be a final disposition of the motion. When a bill and resolution is amended in order, message upon which vote has been taken shall have gone out of possession of the Senate and been communicated to the House of Representatives. The motion to reconsider shall be accompanied by a motion to request the House to return the same, with the last motion shall be acted upon immediately and without debate. If determined in the negative, shall be final disposition of the motion to reconsider. Rule 14, bill, joint resolution preambles thereto. Whenever a bill or joint resolution shall be offered to introduce, shall be if objected to be postponed for 1 day. Every bill, joint resolution shall receive 3 reading previously to passages, with readings on the demand of any senator shall be on 3 different legislative days. Presiding officer shall give notice at each reading whenever the first and second provided, or third provided, that each reading may be by the title only, unless the Senate in any other case otherwise orders. No bill, joint resolution shall be committed to be amended until it shall be been twice read, after which it may be referred to committee. Bills, joint resolutions introduced leave bills, joint resolutions from House Representatives shall be read once and may be read twice, if not objected to on the same day for reference, but shall not considered on the day nor debated except the reference, unless by anonymous consent. Every bill, joint resolution reported from the committee, not having previously have been read, shall be read once and twice, if not objected to on the same day, placed on the calendar in order which same may be reported. and every bill joint resolution introduced on leave, and every bill joint resolution on House of Representatives shall have received first and second reading without being referred to a committee shall be, if objection be made, further proceeding thereon be placed on the calendar. All bill amendments, joint resolutions shall be examined in the supervision secretary of the Senate before they go out of the possession of the Senate, and all bills and joint resolution shall have passed both House and shall be examined under the supervision secretary of the Senate to see if the same of the correctly enrolled, and when signed by the Speaker of the House, of the President of the Senate, the Secretary of the Senate shall forthwith present the same when they shall have originated in the Senate to the President of the United States, report the fact date of such presentation of the Senate. All other resolutions shall lie over 1 day for consideration if not offered unless unanimous consent of the Senate shall otherwise direct. Objection is heard from the immediate consideration of resolution or motion when it's submitted. It shall be placed on the calendar under the heading resolution motions over and under the rule, and to be laid before the Senate on the next legislative day, whether there's no further morning business, but before the closing of the morning business and before the termination of the morning hour. When a bill joint resolution have been ordered to be read third time, it shall not be in order to propose amendments unless by unanimous consent, but it shall be ordered at any time before the passage of any bill or resolution to move it commitment. When the bill or resolution shall be reported from the committee, it should be placed on the calendar. When a bill resolution 8. When a bill resolution is accompanied by a preamble, the question shall first be put on the bill and resolution, and then on the preamble, which may be withdrawn by a mover before amendment of the same, ordering the yeas and nays, or may be laid on the table without prejudice to bill and resolution shall be final disposition of such preamble. Whenever a private bill, except the bill for a pension, is under consideration, it shall be ordered to move the adoption resolution to refer the bill to the Chief Commissioner of the Court of Claims for a report in conformity with Section 2509, Title 828 United States Code. No private bill or resolution, including so-called omnibus claims or pension bills, and no amendment to any bill, resolution authorizing, directing, 1. The payment of money, property damage, personal injuries, or death for which claim may be filed under Chapter 171, Title 28, United States Code, or for the pension other than to carry out the provisional law or treaty stipulation. 2. For the construction of bridge across a navigable stream. Or 3. A correction of military naval records shall be received and considered. Rule 15. Amendments and motions. 1A. An amendment, any instruction accompanying a motion recommit, shall be reduced in writing and read. Identical copies shall be provided by the senators offering an amendment or instruction on the desk of the majority leader and the minority leader before it being debated. A motion shall be reduced to writing if desired by the presiding officer or by the senator shall read before being debated. At a motion, amendment, resolution may be withdrawn, modified, moved over any time of the decision. Amendment, ordering yea or nays, except for the motion reconsideration, shall be withdrawn without leave. If the question debate contains several propositions, any senator may have same divided except motion to strike out insert, which shall not be divided, but rejection of motion strike out insert. One proposition shall not prevent motion to strike out and insert different propositions, nor shall it prevent motion simply to strike out, nor should it reject a motion to strike out, prevent a motion to strike out, or insert, but pending a motion to strike out and insert to be stricken out, in the part inserted shall be each of the regard of the purpose of the amendment as a question. Motions to amend the part of stricken out shall have precedence. 15.4. When an amendment proposed to any of the pending measures is laid on the table, it shall not carry with it prejudice such measure. 15.5. It shall not be in order to consider any proposed committee amendment, other technical, clerical, or confirming amendment which contains a significant matter not with jurisdiction of the committee proposing such amendment. Rule 16. Operations Amendment, General Operation Bills. On appointment of the order by a senator, no amendment shall receive any of the general operation bill in effect which increase the operation already contained in the bill to add a new item of operation unless it unless it to be made to carry out the provisions of some existing law or treaty, stipulation, act, or resolution previously passed by the Senate during that session, unless the same may be moved by the direction of the Committee on Appropriations or the Committee on Senate of the Senate having legislative jurisdiction of subject matter or proposed pursuance of an estimate submitted in accordance with the law. The Committee on Appropriations shall not report any appropriation bill containing amendments such as the bill proposing new general legislation, any restriction on expenditure of funds appropriated with purpose of elimination not authorized by law if such restriction is to affect or cease to be in effect upon happening of the contingency, and if an appropriation bill is reported to the Senate containing amendments to such a bill proposing new and general legislation or any such restriction, a point of order may be made against the bill. If the point is sustained, the bill shall be recommitted to the Committee on Appropriations. All amendments to the General Appropriations Bill moved by the direction of the committee have legislative jurisdiction of the subject matter proposing to increase the appropriation already contained in the bill. To add new items of the appropriation shall at least 1 day before and considered to be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. When actually proposed to the bill, no amendment proposing to increase the amount stated in such amendment shall be received on point order made by any senator. On a point of order made by the senator, no amendments offered by any other senator with purpose of general legislation shall be received to any general appropriation bill, nor shall the amendment nor germane or relevant to the subject matter contained in the bill be received. Nor shall any amendment to any item or clause of such bill be received which does not directly relate thereto, nor shall any restriction expenditure funds appropriated with proposed limitation not authorized by law be received, and such restriction to take an effect or cease to effect upon happening of a contingency or all questions relevancy of the amendments under the rule which is when raised shall be submitted to the Senate and be decided without debate. Any such amendment and restriction to general appropriation may be laid on the table without prejudice of the bill. On point of order by a senator, no amendment of the object which is provided with a private claim shall be received to any of the government general appropriation bill unless it to be carried out provisions of existing law, treaty, stipulation, which shall be cited on the face of the amendment. 6. When a point of order is made against any restriction expenditure of the funds appropriated generator in a general appropriation bill on the ground of restriction violates the rule shall be construed strictly in the case of the doubt in favor of the point of order. Every report of general appropriations bills filed with the Committee of Appropriations shall identify with particularly each recommended amendment which proposes an item in the appropriation which is not to be carried out or provision of the existing law, treaty, stipulation, and act or resolution previously passed by the Senate during the session. On point of order made to the senator, no general appropriation or amendment thereto shall be received. Or considered it contains previous provisions reappropriating unexpended balances of the appropriation, except for the provision shall not apply with the appropriation continuation of the appropriation public works in which has been commenced. Rule 17. Reference to committees motioning discharge reports of committees and hearings available, except as provided in paragraph 3 in each case of the controversy arises as to the jurisdiction of a committee which respect any proposed legislation. The question of jurisdiction shall be decided by the presiding officer which without debate in favor of the committee which has jurisdiction over the subject matter whether it predominates in such a proposed legislation, but such decision shall be subject to an appeal. A motion simply to refer shall not be open to amendment except to add instructions upon motion, but majority leader, his designee, and the minority leader and his designee proposed legislation may be referred to two or more committees jointly and sequentially. Not such a motion over the proposed legislation relates should be printed in the congressional record. The motion shall be privileged, but it shall not be in order until the congressional record in which notice is printed has been available to the senator for at least 24 hours. No amendment to any such in motion in order to accept amendments for any instructions contained therein. Debate on any such motion and all amendments thereto to debatable motions and appeals in connection therewith shall be limited to no more than 2 hours. The time equally divided between the controlled majority leader and minority leaders and their designees. Proposed legislation which referred to two or more committees jointly may be reported to only such committee jointly. One report may be accompanying any proposed legislation so jointly reported. A motion to refer any proposed legislation to two or more committees subsequently shall specify the order of referral, and a motion under paragraph may specify the portion of proposed legislation to be considered by the committees, any of them which were proposed with the legislation is referred. Such committees and committee shall be limited to in the consideration of proposed legislation of the portions so specified. Any motion under subparagraph may contain instructions with respect to time allowed consideration by the committees, any of them in which proposed legislation referred and discharged for the committee, and any of them further consideration such proposed legislation. All reports of the committee motions to discharge the committee from the consideration of the subject or all subject of the committee shall be discharged shall lie over 1 day consideration unless by unanimous consent of the Senate shall otherwise direct. Whenever any committee except for the Committee on Appropriations have been reported any measure by any taken on conformity with the requirements of paragraph 7 of the Rule 26, no point order shall lie with respect to the measure on the ground of the hearings upon that measure by the committee were not conducted in accordance with the provisions of paragraph 4 of Rule 26. Any measure matter reported to any standing of the committee shall not be considered in the Senate unless the report of the committee that the measures and matter has been available to members for at least 2 calendar days, excluding Sunday and legal holidays prior to the consideration of that the measure or matter. If hearings have been held any of such measure or matter so reported, the committee reporting of the measure of the matter shall make every responsible effort to such hearing, print available distribution members of the Senate prior to the consideration of such measures and matters in this paragraph. 1. May be waived the joint agreement of the major leader and minority leader of the Senate shall not be applied to any measure of the declaration of war, declaration of national emergency, or by the Congress and by executive decision, determination, and action which would become continue to be or effective unless disapproved, otherwise invalidated by one or both houses of Congress. Rule 18. Business continue from session to session. The second and subsequent session of the Congress legislative business sentence remained undetermined to close the next preceding session. The Congress shall be resumed and proceed within the same manner with no adjournment of the Senate had taken place. Rule 19. Debate. When a senator desires to speak, he shall rise and address the presiding officer, and shall not proceed until he is recognized. The presiding officer shall recognize the senator who shall first address him. No senator shall interrupt another senator in debate without consent. To obtain such consent, he shall first address the presiding officer. No senator shall speak more than twice upon any one question in a debate on the same legislation day without leave of the Senate, which shall be determined without debate. At the conclusion of the morning hour at the beginning of the new legislative day, after the unfinished business, any pending business has first been laid before the Senate any calendar day until after the duration of 3 hours actual session. After such business laid down, except for determined contrary to by unanimous consent or on the motion without debate, all debate shall be germane and confined to specific question then pending before the Senate. No senator in debate shall directly, indirectly, by any form of words impute to another senator, to other senators, any conduct, motive unworthy or unbecoming a senator. No senator in debate shall refer offensively to any state of the Union. If any senator speak otherwise in the opinion presiding officer transgress the rules of the Senate, presiding officer shall either on his or own motion or at the request of any other senator call him to order, and when a senator shall be called to order, he shall take his seat and may not proceed without leave of the Senate, which is granted shall be upon the motion to be allowed to proceed in order, which motion shall be determined without debate. Any senator directed by the presiding officer to take his seat, any senator requesting the presiding officer to require a senator to take his seat may appeal for the ruling of the chair, which appeal shall be open to debate. If the senator be called to order with a word spoken in the debate upon the demand of the senator or any other senator, an expectational word shall be taken down in writing and read on the table for the information of the Senate. Whenever confusion arises in the chamber or in the galleries, or demonstration of approval or disapproval are indulged in occupants of the galleries, it shall be the duty of the chair to enforce order on his own initiative without any point or order being made by a senator. No senator shall introduce to bring an attention of the senator during session any occupant galleries of the Senate. No motion to suspend this rule shall be in order, nor may presiding officer entertain any request to suspend it by unanimous consent. Former presidents of the United States shall be entitled to address the Senate upon appropriate notice to the presiding officer, who shall thereupon make necessary arrangements. Rule 20, question of order. A question of order may be raised at any stage of the proceeding except when the Senate is voting, asserting the presence of the quorum, unless the submitted to the Senate shall be decided by the presiding officer without debate, subject to an appeal to the Senate. When an appeal is taken, any subsequent question of order which may arise before the decision such appeal shall be decided by the presiding officer without debate. And every appeal therefrom shall be decided at once without debate, and an appeal may be laid on the table without prejudice, depending on proposition thereupon shall be held by affirming the decision of the presiding officer. 2. The presiding officer may submit any question of order for decision of the Senate. Rule 21, session with closed doors. On a motion made and seconded to close doors of the Senate on the discussion of any business which may, in opinion of the senator, require secrecy, the presiding officer shall direct the galleries to be cleared. During the decision, such motion of the doors shall be remain closed. When the Senate meets in closed session, the application provisions of Rules 29 and 31 include that the confidential information shall apply to any information and conduct any debate transacted. Rule 22, presence of motion. When a question is pending, no motion shall be received, but to adjourn a day certain, that when the senator adjourn, it shall be to a day certain. To recess, to proceed a consideration of executive business, to lay on the table, to postpone indefinitely, to postpone a day certain, to commit and amend several of the motions shall have proceedings as the stand arranged the motion in relation to the adjournment, to take recess, proceed with the consideration of executive business, to lay on the table shall be decided without debate. Notwithstanding the provision of Rule 2 and Rule 4, any other rule of the Senate, at any time motion signed by between 16 senators to bring to a close of the debate upon any measure motion other than the matter pending before the Senate and the unfinished business is presented to the Senate, the presiding officer or clerk of that direction over the presiding officer shall at once state the motion to the Senate. And 1 hour after the Senate meets the following calendar day, but one shall lay the motion before the Senate and direct the clerk call the roll. Upon the assertion that the quorum is present, the presiding officer shall, without debate, submit to the Senate, being a yea or nay vote for the question. Is it the sense of the Senate that the debate shall be brought to a close, and if the question shall be decided to affirm yea by 3/5 of the senator duly chosen, sworn, except on the measure of the motion to amend Senate rules, in which case the necessary affirmative vote shall be 2/3 of the senator present voting, then said measure and motion other matter pending before the Senate and unfinished business shall be unfinished business to the exclusion of all other businesses until disposed of. Thereafter, no senator shall be entitled to speak in all more than 1 hour on the measure and motion of the other matter pending before the Senate. Unfinished business amendments thereto of the motion affecting the same, and it shall be the duty of the presiding officer to keep a time of each senator who speaks, except by an anonymous consent. No amendment shall be proposed after the vote to bring the debate to a close unless it had been submitted in writing to the journal clerk by 1:00 p.m. on the day following the filing of the closure motion in the an amendment in the first degree, unless it has been submitted at least 1 hour prior to the beginning of the closure vote. If amended in a second degree, no dilatory amendment or amendment not germane shall be in order. Point of order includes questions of the relevance and appeals from the decision of the presiding officer shall be decided without debate. After no more than 30 hours of consideration of the measure of motion of the matter with the closure as been invoked, the senators shall proceed without any further debate any of the question of vote and the final disposition therewith, an exclusion of all the amendments not then actually pending before the Senate at the time, to the exclusion of all motions except the motion to the table, and to reconsider the one quorum call on demand to establish the presence of the quorum, and motions required to establish a quorum immediately before the final vote begins. The 30 hours may be increased by an adoption of a motion decided without debate and by 3/5 of the affirmative vote of the senator duly chosen sworn. Any such time thus agreed upon should equally divided between controlled majority minority leaders and their designees. However, only one motion to extend time specified above may be made in any one calendar year. If for any reason a measure matter is reprinted of closure has been invoked, amendments which were in order prior to reprinting of the measure of the matter will be continue to be in order, may be conformed and reprinted at the request of the amendment sponsor of the conforming with the changes that must be limited to limitation and pagination. No senator shall call upon the two amendments until every other senator shall have had the opportunity to do likewise. Nothing would stand other provisions of the rule. Senator may yield all or part of his 1 hour to the majority or the minority floor managers of the measure, motion, and matter to the majority or minority leader. But each senator specified shall not have more than 2 hours so yielded to him, and may in turn yield such time to other senators. Nothing withstands any other provision of this rule. Any senator who has not used or yielded at least 10 minutes, if he seeks recognition, guaranteed to put up to 10 minutes inclusive to speak only. After closure is invoked, reading of any of the amendment, including the House amendments, shall be dispensed with, and when a proposed amendment has been identified and has been available in printed form of the desk of the members for not less than 24 hours. If a closure motion of the motion proceeded, the measure of the matter is presented in accordance with the rule and signed by 16 senators, including majority leader and minority leaders, 7 additional senators not affiliated with the majority, 7 additional senators not affiliated with the minority. 1 hour after the Senate meets on the following calendar day, the presiding officer or the clerk at the direction of the presiding officer shall lay motion before the Senate. If the closure is then invoked on the motion to proceed, the question shall be on the motion to proceed without further debate. Rule 23, Privilege of the Floor. Other than the Vice President and Senators, and no person shall be admitted to the floor of the Senate while in session except as shall the President of the United States and his private secretary of the President-elect, the Vice President-elect of the United States, ex-President, ex-Vice Presidents of the United States, judges of the Supreme Court, ex-Senators and Senators-elect except as provided in paragraph 2.8, officers of the employees of the Senate and the discharge of their official duties, ex-secretaries, ex-sergeants of the arms of the Senate, except as provided in paragraph 2.9, members of the House, representative members of the members-elect, ex-speakers of the House, representative, except as provided in paragraph 2.10, sergeant at arms of the House and his chief, the deputy of the clerk of the House and his deputies, head of the executive departments, ambassadors and ministers of the United States and governors, states and territories, members of Joint Chief of Staff, General Commanding of the Army, the Senior Admiral of the Navy, the active list, members of the National Legislature, foreign countries, members of the European Parliament, judge of the Court of Claims, major of the District of Columbia, librarian of the Congress, and assistant librarian in charge of the law of library, architect of the Capitol, the chaplain of the House of Representatives, secretary of Smithsonian Institute, Parliament, emeritus of the Senate, and the list members of the Joint Staff Committees of the Senate and Joint Committees of the Congress when in for the discharge of the official duties of the employees in the office of the Senator when in the discharge of their official duties, but in each case subject to such rules or the regulations as may be prescribed by the Committee of the Rules and Administration. Senate Committee staff, the members and employees in the office of the Senate must be on the payroll of the Senate, and members of the Joint Committee staff must be on the payroll of the Senate and the House of the Representatives. The floor privilege provided in paragraph 1 shall not apply when the Senate is in session to an individual covered by a paragraph who is 1. Registered lobbyist and agent of the foreign principal. 2. An employee of or representing any party or organization for the purpose of influencing directly, indirectly the passage, defeat, amendment of any federal legislative proposal. The Committee on the Rules of Administration may promulgate regulations to individuals covered by the paragraph's floor privileges, ceremonial functions, events designated by the majority leader and minority leader. A former member of the Senate may not exercise privileges to use Senate athletic facilities or member-only parking spaces, and such a member is a registered lobbyist, agent of the foreign principal, employee, or represents any party or organization for the purpose of influencing directly, indirectly the passage, defeat, and amendment of any federal legislative proposal. Rule 24, appointment of the committees and appointment of the standing committees of the to fill the vacancy of the Iran Senate unless otherwise ordered shall be a resolution appointment of the chair of each such committee with the other members thereof on the demand of any senator. Separate vote shall be had on the appointment of the chair of any such committee with the other appointment other than members thereof. Each such resolution shall be subject to amendment to the decision of question. On demand of 1/5 of the senators present, with a quorum being present, any vote taken pursuant to paragraph 1 shall be by ballot, except otherwise provided unless otherwise ordered. All other committees and chairmen thereof shall be appointed in the same manner as standing committees. When a chairman or committee shall resign or cease to serve, committee action of the Senate fill with the vacancy such committee, unless specially otherwise ordered, shall be only to fill up the number of members of the committee in the election of the new chairman. Rule 25, Standing Committee. The following standing committees shall be appointed at the commencement of each Congress shall continue to have the power to act upon all their successors are appointed without leave to report by bill otherwise on matters with their respective jurisdiction. Committee on Agricultural, Nutrition, and Forestry. The committee shall be referred to all proposed legislation, messages, petitions, memorials, other matters relating primarily to the effects of the subject, agricultural, economic research, agricultural extension services, experiment stations, agricultural production, marketing, and stabilization of prices, agricultural commodities, animal industry and diseases, crop insurance, soil conservation, farm credit, farm security, food from fresh waters, foods from stamp progresses, forestry, forest reserve, wilderness area, then others created with the public domain, home economics, home nutrition, inspection, livestock, meat, agricultural products, pesticides, plant industry, soil, agricultural engineering, rural development, rural electrification, watershed, school nutrition programs. Such committee shall also stay with a review on a comprehensive basis of the matter related to the food, nutrition, and hunger, both in the United States and foreign countries, and rural affairs report thereon from time to time. Committees on Appropriation. To the committee shall be referred to all proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, and other matters relating to the following subjects: appropriation of the revenue for the support of the government, except as provided in subparagraph E of the rescissions of appropriations contained in the Appropriations Act referred to in Section 105 of Title 1 United States Code. The amount of the new spending authority described in Section 401(c)(2)(a) and B of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, which is to be effective for official year. New spending authority described in Section 401(c)(2)(c) of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, provided the bills and resolution referred to the committee under Section 401(b)(2) of the Act, but subject to the provisions of Section 401(b)(3) of the Act. C1, Committee of the Armed Forces. To the committee shall be referred to with the proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: aeronautical, space activities peculiar to the preliminary associated with the development of the weapon system, military defense operations, common defense, Department of Defense, Department of the Army, the Department of the Navy, the Department of the Air Force generally, maintenance, Operation Panama Canal, including administration, sanitation, government of the canal zone, military research, development, national security aspect of the nuclear energy, naval petroleum reserve, except those in Alaska, pay, promotion, retirement, other than benefits, privileges, member of the armed forces, including oversee the education, civilian, military dependents, selective service systems, strategic, and critical materials necessary for the common defense. Such committee shall also stay with a review on a comprehensive basis matter relating to the common defense policy of the United States, report thereon from time to time. Committee on Banking, Housing, Urban Affairs, to which the committee should be referred all proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: bank, financial institution, control price of the commodities, rents and services, the deposit, insurance, economic and stabilization, defense, production, export and foreign trade, promotion, export controls, federal monetary policy, including Federal Reserve System, financial aid to commence, aid to commerce and industry, issuance of the redemption notes, money and credit, including in currency with the coinage, and nursing home construction, public and private housing, including veteran housing, renegotiating government contracts, urban development, and urban mass transit. Such communities shall also stay with a review on comprehensive basis matters relating to international economic policy, affect the United States monetary affairs, credit, financial institution, economic growth, and urban affairs with a credit report thereon from time to time. Committee on the Budget, to which the committee shall refer to all concurrent resolution of the budget as defined in Section 3A.4 of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974. All other matters required to refer to the committee under Titles 3 and 4 of this Act. Messages, petition, memorials, and other matters relating thereto. Such committee shall have the duty to report that all the matters required to be reported by under the Titles 3 and 4 of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974 to make the continuing studies effective on the budget outlays of the relevant existing proposed legislation to report results of the studies to the Senate on a recurring basis, to evaluate continuing studies for the tax expenditures, advise methods, coordinated tax expenditure policy programs for the direct budget outlays, to report results such as the studies of the Senate on a recurring basis, to review on a continuing basis of the conduct of the Congressional Budget Office of its functions and duties. F1 Committee on the Commerce, Science, and the Transportation of the committee shall be referred to all proposed legislation, messages, petitions, memorials, and other matters relating to the following: Coast Guard, coastal zone management, communication, highway safety, inland waterways, except construction, interstate commerce, marine, ocean navigation, safety, transportation, including navigational aspect of the deep water ports, marine fisheries, merchant marine and navigation, non-military, aeronautical and space sciences, ocean, weather, and atmospheric activities, Panama Canal, interoceanic canals, generally accepted, provided in subparagraph C. 13. Regulation consumer products and services, including tests related to the taxes, substance of other pesticides, capital credit and financial servicing and housing. Regulation interstate common carriers, including railroads, buses, tracks, vessels, and pipeline, civilian aviation. Science, energy, technology, research, development, and policy, sports, standard measures, and transportation, commerce aspects, outer continental shelf lands. Such committees shall also stay with the review on a comprehensive basis all matters relating to the science and technology, ocean policy, transportation, communication, consumer affairs, report thereupon time to time. Committee on the energy of the natural resources, to which committee shall be referred all proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials of the matters relating to the following subjects: coal production, distribution, utilization, energy policy, energy regulation, conservation, energy related aspect of the deep water ports, energy research, development, extraction of the minerals of the ocean, outer continental shelf, hydroelectric power, irrigation, reclamation, mining, education, research, mining, mineral lands, mining claims, mineral conservation, national park, recreation areas, wilderness areas, wild and scenic rivers, historical sites, military parks, battlefields of the public domain, preservation, prehistoric ruins, objects of the interests, naval petroleum reserves in Alaska, non-military development of nuclear energy, oil and gas production, distribution, public lands, forestry, including farming, grazing thereon, mineral extraction therefrom, solar energy systems. 16. Territorial possession of the United States, including trusteeship. The such committee shall also stay with a review on comprehensive basis of the matters relating to the energy of the resource of the development to report them on from time to time. Committee on Environmental and Public Works. The committee shall be referred to all proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: air pollution, construction, maintenance of the highways, environmental aspect of the outer continental shelf lands, environmental effects of the toxic substance of the pesticides, environmental policy, environmental research, development, fishery, wildlife, flood control, the improvement of the river and harbors, including environmental aspect of the deeper water ports, noise pollution, non-military environmental regulation, and the control of the nuclear energy, ocean dumping, public buildings, improve the grounds of the United States generally, including federal buildings in the District of the Columbia, public works and bridges and dams, regional economic development, solid waste disposal and recycling, water pollution, and water resources. Such committee shall also stay with a review on comprehensive basis matters relating to environmental protection, resource utilization, and conservation report from there on time to time. Committee on Financing. The committee shall be referred to as also proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: All right. Bonded debt with the United States accepted as provided in Congress Budget Act 1974. Custom collection districts and ports with entry of the delivery and deposit of the public monies, general revenue sharing, health programs under Social Security Act, health programs finance, specifically tax and trust funds, national Social Security reciprocal trade agreements for revenue measure that generally expected as providing Congressional Budget Act 1974. Revenue measures relating to insular possessions, tariffs, import quotas, matters related thereto, transportation and dutiable goods. Committee on Foreign Relations, to which committee shall be referred all proposed legislation, message, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: acquisition of land, buildings for an embassy, legislation, foreign countries, boundaries of the United States, diplomatic services, foreign economic, military, technical, humanitarian assistance, foreign loans, international activity, American National Red Cross, International Community of the Red Cross, international aspect of the nuclear energy, included nuclear transfer policy, international conference in Congress, that Congress's international law relates to foreign policy, international monetary fund, other than international organization established primarily for the international monetary purpose, except that in the request of the Committee on the Banking and Housing, Urban Affairs, or proposed legislation relating to the such subjects reported by the Committee on Foreign Relations shall be referred to the Committee on the Banking and Housing, Urban Affairs. Intervention abroad, declarations of war, measures to foster commercial intercourse of the foreign nations to safeguard American business interests abroad, national security, international aspects of trusteeship of the United States. 14. Ocean, international, environmental, scientific area of the relate foreign policy, protection of the United States citizens abroad, and expatriation, relations with the United States with foreign nations, generally treaties and executive agreements, except for the reciprocal trade agreements, United Nations, affiliated organization, World Bank Group, the regional development banks, and the other international organizations established primarily for the development assistance purposes. Such committees shall also stay with a review on comprehensive basis matters relating to the national security policy, foreign policy, international economic policy, as it relates to foreign policy with the United States, and the matter relating to food and hunger with the nutrition in foreign country, will report them from time to time. Committee on Governmental Affairs. The committee shall be referred to with the proposed legislation, message, petition, memorials, other the matters relating to the following subjects: archive of the United States, budgeting, accounting measures other than operations expected provided in the Congressional Budget Act 1974, census and collection statistics, including economic and social statistics, congressional organization, except for any part of the matter that amends of the rules or orders of the Senate, federal service, civil service, government information, intergovernmental relations, municipal affairs with the District of Columbia, except the operations thereof, organizational management of the United States with the nuclear export policy, organization, reorganization, executive branch of the government, Postal Service status of the officers employed with the United States, with include the classification and compensation of the benefits. Such committee shall have the duty of the receiving, examining reports of the Comptroller of the General of the United States, of submitting with such recommendation with the Senate is deemed necessary or desirable in connection with the subject of the matter at such reports. Studying efficient economic effectiveness of all agencies of the Department of the Government, and evaluating the effects of law and actively reorganizing legislative executive branches of the government, and studying intergovernmental relationship between the United States and the states and the municipalities, between the United States and the inter or national organizations of which the United States is a member. L. Committee on Health, Education, and Labor Pensions, to which committee shall be referred with the proposed legislation, message, petition, memorials, other matters relating to the following subject: measures relating to the education, labor, health, and public welfare, aging, agricultural, colleges, arts, humanities, biomedical, research and development, child labor, convict labor, entry of the goods made by convictions into interstate commerce, domestic activity, the American National Red Cross, equal employment opportunity, Logic College, Howard University, St. Elizabeth Hospital, individual with a disability, labor standards, labor statistics, mediation, and arbitration of labor disputes. Occupational safety, health, included welfare of the minors, private pension plans, public health, railway labor, retirement, regulation, foreign labor, student loans, wages, and hours of labor. Such committee shall also study the review on comprehensive basis matters relating to health and education, training, public welfare, report thereon, and from time to time. Committee on Judiciary, to which the committee shall refer to proposed legislation, message, petition, memorial, other matters relating to the following subjects: apportionment of the representatives, bankruptcy, mutiny, espionage, counterfeit demonstrating civil liberties, constitutional amendments, federal court and judges, government information, holiday and celebration, immigration, naturalization, interstate compacts, generally judicial proceedings, civil and criminal, and general local courts of the territory, possession, measuring relating to claims against the United States, national penitentiaries, patent offices, patent copyrights and trademarks, protection of trade and commerce against unlawful restraint and monopolies, revisions, codification of the statute of the United States, states and the territorial boundary lines, Committee on Rules and Administration of the committees of the shall be referred to all proposed legislation, messages, petitions, memorials, and any other matters relating to the following subjects. Alright, Administration of the Senate Office Building, Senate Wing of the Capitol, including the assignment of the office of the Congressional Organization relative to the rules, procedure of the Senate of the rules, regulation, including the floor and gallery rules, corrupt practices, credential qualification of the members of the Senate of the contested election, acceptance of the incoming incompatible offices. Federal elections generally include the election of the President, Vice President, and the members of the Congress, governmental printing office of the printing and the correction of the congressional record, as well as those matters provided under Rule 11, meetings of the Congress, attendance of the members of the payment of the money out of the contingency fund of the Senate, of the creating a charge upon the same, and accept those any of the resolution relating to substantive matter within jurisdiction any of the outstanding of the committee of the Senate shall be first referred to as such committee. Presidential succession, purchase of the books and manuscripts, erection of the monuments to the memory of the individual Senate, of the library, the statutory art of the pictures in Capitol and Senate office buildings, service of the Senate, including the Senate restaurant on the United States of the Capitol, with the Congressional Office Building, Library of Congress, the Smithsonian Institute, the incorporation of similar institutions in botanic gardens, a make of the continuity study of the organization operation of the Congress of the United States shall recommend improvements in such organization operation viewed towards strengthening the Congress, simplifying its operation, improving its relationship with other branches of the United States government, enabling it better to meet its responsible under the Constitution of the United States. B. Identify any of the court proceedings and action with the opinion of the committee of the vital interest of the Congress of the constitutionally established institution of the federal government and call such proceeding or action to the attention of the Senate. Develop and implement update with the necessary of the strategic plan process. A strategic plan for the functional and technical infrastructure support with the Senate provide for the oversight of the plans of the development of the Senate office or the other in accordance with the strategic planning process of the Committee on Small Business and Enterprise. The committee shall be referred to all of the proposed legislation, messages, petitions, memorials, other matters relating to small business administration, any proposed legislation reported by such committee which relates to matters other than those of the functions of the small business administration shall have at the request of the chairman and any standing committee have the jurisdiction over the subject matter extraneous to the functions of the small business administration be considered and reported by such standing committee prior to the consideration by the Senate. Likewise, measure the reported by other committees directly relating to small business administration shall, to the request of the chairman of the Committee on Small Business, be referred to the Committee on Small Business Enterprise for its consideration any of the portion measure dealing with a small business administration, or be reported by the committee prior to the considering by the Senate. Such committee shall also stay with the survey by the means research investigation all problems with American small business enterprises and report them out from time to time. Committee on Veterans Affairs, to which the committee shall be referred to proposed legislation, message, petition, memorials, other matters relating to the following subjects: compensation for the veterans, life insurance issue for the government on the account of the service of the armed forces of the national cemeteries, pensions of all the wars in the United States general and special, readjust of the servicemen to civil life, soldiers and sailors, civil relief, veteran hospitals, medical care and treatment of the veterans measures generally, vocational rehab, education for the veterans, except otherwise provided in paragraph 4 of this rule. Each of the following standing committees shall be consistent with the number of senators as set forth with the following table on the line, which the name of the committee appears: Committee Agricultural, Nutrition, Forest, Operation, Armed for the Bank, Housing, Urban Affairs, Commercial, Service, Science, Transportation, Energy and Natural Resources, Environmental and Public Works, Finance, Foreign Relations, Health, Education, Labor and Pension, Homeland Security, Governmental Affairs, Judiciary, except the otherwise provided in the paragraph 4 of this rule. Each of the following standing committees shall consider the number of senators set forth in the following table online, which is the name of the committee and appears Committee budget: 22 members. Rule administrator: 16. Veterans Affairs: 14. Small business enterprise: 18. Each of the following committees, joint committees, shall consider each of the number of senators of the members and keep the joint committee set forth in the following table on the line, which the name of the committee appears: aging: 18. Intelligence: 19. Joint economic committees: 10. Each of the following committees and joint committees each shall consider the number of senators of the members in the case of the joint committee set forth the following table on the line, which the name of the committee appears: ethics: 6. Indian Affairs: 14. Joint Committee on Taxation: 5. Except otherwise provided, the paragraph that each senator shall serve with two or more, each senator shall serve on 2 and no more committees listed in paragraph 2. Each of the senators may serve only on one committee listed in paragraph 3A and B. Each senator may serve with not more than 3 subcommittees, each of the committee other than the committee on the operations list, paragraph 2 of which he is a member. Each senator may serve on not more than 2 subcommittees within the committee listed in paragraph 3A-B, whichever he is a member of the not standing with subparagraph 1 and 2. The senator serving the chairman, the ranking, the minority member of the standing select of the special committee with the Senate, with the joint with the committee of the Congress may serve the ex officio without vote as a member of any subcommittee in such committee with the joint committee. No committee of the Senate may establish any subunit of the committee other than the subcommittee unless the Senate by resolution give the permission thereof. For the purpose of subparagraph, any subunit joint committee shall be treated as a subcommittee by agreement entered into with the majority leader or minority leader. The membership of one or more standing committees may be increased temporarily from time to time. Such of the numbers are made required to according to the majority purpose by majority of the membership of all the standing committees. When any such temporary increase is necessary to accord the majority of the party of majority of the membership of all standing committees, members of the majority party and such a number as may be required for that of the purpose may serve as a member of the 3 standing committees listed in the paragraph 2 with no such temporary increase that is in the membership of any standing committee under the subparagraph shall be continued in effect after the need thereof that has ended, notwithstanding the committee may be increased in the membership under the subparagraph no more than 2 members and except for the number that prescribed from the committee in paragraph 2 and 3A and the senator may serve as a member of any joint committee of the Congress Senate member over which of the required law to be appointed by a standing committee of the Senate which he is a member or serveth as a member. Any such joint committee shall not be taken into account pursuant purpose of the subparagraph A2. No senator shall serve at any time as chairman, no more than 1 standing and select and special committee of the Senate and joint committee of the Congress, except the senator may serve as a chairman at a joint committee of the Congress having jurisdiction with respect to a subject matter which is directly related to the jurisdiction of the standing committee for which he is chairman. No senator shall serve at any time of the chairman, no more than one subcommittee in each standing select of the special committee of the Senate of the joint committee of the Congress of which he is a member. Senator who is serving as a chairman of the committee listed in paragraph 2 may serve at any time of the chairman and only one of the subcommittees, all of the committees listed in paragraph 2 of which he is a member that may serve any time of the chairman only to the subcommittee of each committee listed in paragraph 3A and B of which he is a member. The senator who is serving as the chairman of the committee listed in paragraph 3A and B may not serve as the chairman of any subcommittee of the committee may serve at any time of the chairman only with one subcommittee each of the committee listed in paragraph 2 of which he is a member. Any other senator may serve as the chairman only on one subcommittee for each of the committee listed in paragraph 2, 3A, and 3B of which he is a member. If a senator serving on the committee rules of the administration may not serve on any of the joint committee of the Congress unless the Senate members thereof are required by law to be appointed by the committee of the rules of administration unless the senator serves on the committee of rules of administration and the joint committee on taxation last day of the 98th Congress. The senator who is on the day of the proceeding effective day of Title I Committee System Reorganization Amendment with the 1977 and were serving the chairman and rank of the minority member of the committee of the district, serve of the Columbia of the committee of the post office of civil services may serve on the committee of the general government affairs. In addition, will serve on 2 other standing committees listed in the paragraph 2. But at the request of any of the senators, he shall be appointed to serve on such committee, but will serve on such a committee with the 2 other standing committees listed in paragraph 2. But he may not serve on any of the committees listed in paragraph 3A and B. Other than that, then the committee on the rules of administration preceding the provisions of the subparagraph shall apply with the respects of any of the senator only so long as the service as the member of the committee of the governmental affairs is continuous after the date of which the appointment of the majority and minority members of the committee of the governmental affairs is initially completed. Rule 26, committee procedures. And we'll cut the tape there.